What's up, Rasmanites? If you're in America, I hope that you are having a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving today. Thank you for making me a part of it. I hope that everyone was safe in their travels, or if their travels haven't begun yet, that they will be safe. And just remember to be thankful for every day that you have, because life is a gift that should be really appreciated. As promised, for this week's movie review, we are going to do the full-on review for Star Trek 2009 from director J.J. Abrams. That's all coming up right now on the Razman's Reality. Star Trek 2009 is, if I'm not mistaken, the 11th motion picture in the Star Trek legacy, and it is vastly becoming my all-time favorite Trek film for a number of reasons, but the most daunting of which is that it pays tremendous homage to the characters that we all know and love, while still being a beautifully done reboot that's just enough of one to get a whole new generation of fans interested in the Trek universe. This review will contain massive spoilers, as I cannot talk about a film this great without talking about what makes it great, or even talk about what's not so great in it without talking about why it's not so great. So, if you have not seen this film, please come back and view this episode after seeing the film. J.J. Abrams and crew made a fantastic decision to open this film with an action sequence of an attack on a Federation starship known as the USS Kelvin. What is so significant about this attack is that George Kirk, the father of our iconic Captain of the Enterprise himself, James T. Kirk, is left briefly in command of the ship, only to realize that the only way to save his wife and unborn son, as well as his entire crew, is to sacrifice himself. And that is why it is such a dramatic remake and reboot of the Star Trek franchise, because from the word go, you realize that this is not something that's going to 110% follow what you've seen before. Upon seeing this opening scene in the cinema, I must admit that I was very, very apprehensive and very, very scared, because as a lifelong tracker, there are certain things that are absolutely essential to the Star Trek universe, and to start it off immediately from the word go with such a massive change was huge. And J.J. Abrams right there, and his crew also right there, ran the risk of losing every hardcore tracker in the audience. But as the story unfolds, you begin to know that this is going to work. Just because George Kirk is no longer alive doesn't mean this film is cursed. Because what it did was truly open up the characters to become new characters for a new generation, while yes, still being the Enterprise crew you know and love. By creating quantum theory and the ability to exist in a parallel universe, this film allows you to bring back and revitalize the characters that you've known and loved for the next 20 years or so. And that might be a slight exaggeration, but for however long they decide to keep the original crew going. They can do it, and it's not going to be forced cadence or something that just won't work, because they are now officially in a new timeline. So I ended up really liking that change. The overall plotline of the film is as follows. The alternate timeline, or quantum theory, was created by a Romulan named Nero, played by Eric Bana, who comes through a wormhole in time in pursuit of Mr. Spock, or as he's known in this film, Spock Prime, played by Leonard Nimoy. Spock Prime was charged with the task in the future of saving Romulus. However, in his attempts to do so, Spock Prime has something go horribly wrong, and what goes horribly wrong is the destruction of the planet Romulus. That is why Nero intercepts Spock on his travels. He is now the last remaining member of the Romulan Empire and has taken it upon himself to exact revenge for the loss of his home planet and the loss of his wife. The significant thing about Nero and Spock Prime is that while the incidents were only seconds apart, Spock Prime going through the wormhole that was created by the red matter and the destruction of Romulus, and Nero and his crew going through first, there was 25 years of waiting. So in that 25 years time, Nero becomes sick and twisted and depraved and just really beyond all hope. So the basis of the story is this troubled Romulan named Nero blaming Spock for the destruction of Romulus. He gets revenge on Spock by destroying Vulcan, and subsequently, through the presence of Nero and Spock Prime, Kirk, Spock Current, and the entire Enterprise crew has all their destinies and all their fates changed. Overall, this is a 5-star film. It is a good story, and it's a great premise for a reboot, and incredible casting, great channeling of all the characters by all the new actors and actresses. Just nothing bad about this film, with the possible exception of 2 minor quirks that I had a bit of a problem with. It's one thing to do an alternate timeline and have a new beginning for your characters, but is it really a necessity to have a relationship that can be distracting more than helpful for 2 of your main characters? And what I'm talking about is a relationship that you see in this film between Commander Spock and Uhura. I understood why they did it, because Kirk always gets the girl, and they wanted to make it not so obvious, and they wanted to further the antagonism between Kirk and Spock that you see throughout most of this film, but I didn't like it. I thought it was distracting, and I thought it was just not necessary and a little bit overdone. So that's one quarrel. And the other major quarrel that I have, and by far the biggest one, is the score. The score is not a Star Trek score. The composer, whose name you will see at the bottom of your screen right now, is the same composer who worked on Lost with J.J. Abrams, and he is a brilliant composer, does some really great pieces of music, and really benefits Lost and makes Lost a stronger show. But he's not the right choice for Star Trek. You hear the basic theme of the film over and over and over again. And where there should be tension, you really don't have it. Where there should be lightheartedness, sometimes you really don't feel it because of the fact that the score is so mundane. However, this is one of the rare cases where bad music does not hurt the film in any way. While music is an essential piece of storytelling in any film, it does not take away from the overall stupendous of this film and what makes this film so great.